All right, let's get right into it. Some brand new data just hit, and if you're one of the 75 million Americans on Social Security, this is something you're definitely going to want to hear. We're not talking about guesswork here. We're talking about what the actual numbers are showing us and how it could directly affect that check you get every month.
Okay, so the March inflation numbers just landed. And when you first glance at them, you might think, okay, looks pretty stable. But, and this is a big but, when you dig just a little deeper, a whole different story emerges, a much more urgent one, actually.
So check this out. In just 1 month, from 1 month to the next, inflation popped up by nearly a full percent. And I know what you're thinking. 1%, what's the big deal? Well, in the world of economics, it's not just about the number itself. It's about the speed. It's that acceleration that's raising some red flags.
So why is that 1% jump such a big deal? Well, think about it like this. If that same jump happened every single month for a year, we'd be looking at double-digit inflation. Yeah, really. And that, my friends, is a huge concern. It's that change in momentum, that sudden speed up, that has all the experts leaning in and paying super close attention.
Okay, so what's the culprit here? What's driving this? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is energy prices. And here's the thing about energy. When its price goes up, it's like a ripple in a pond. It doesn't just stay in one place. It spreads out, and it spreads out fast. And I mean, look at the scale of this thing. We're talking about energy costs jumping more than 10% in a single month. That's not just a little blip on the radar. No way. That's a major economic flare going up, telling us something big is happening. And this is why it matters so much. Energy is kind of like the lifeblood of our economy, right? So when it gets more expensive, everything gets more expensive. It hits transportation, making it cost more to ship goods. It hits manufacturing. It even hits the cost of producing the food that ends up on your dinner table. And here's the really important part to remember. This isn't like flipping a switch. It's a slow burn. It can take months before you actually feel the full impact of these price hikes at the checkout counter. Okay, so we've got rising inflation. We've got surging energy costs. But how does all of this connect back to your Social Security check? Well, it's all about how that benefit is calculated. It all boils down to a very, very specific formula. And this is absolutely crucial to understand. The Social Security Administration doesn't look at the headline inflation number you see on the news every night. Nope. They use a special yardstick called the CPI-W. That's the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. And get this, in March, that specific number jumped about 1.3%. So it's actually climbing even faster than the overall inflation rate.
Right, so your annual cost of living adjustment, the COLA, it's not based on the whole year's worth of data. It's all about a very specific 3-month window, July, August, and September. They take the average of the CPI-W from just those 3 months. So what we're seeing right now with this rising inflation, it's basically setting the stage for that super important measurement period that's coming up really, really soon.
And because this new data is running so hot, the predictions for next year's COLA are already changing. Forecasters are literally scrambling to update their numbers. What we all thought was going to be a pretty small, modest adjustment, well, it's starting to look like it could be a lot more significant. Think about this. Just a little while ago, everybody was talking about a COLA around, say, 2.8%. Now, with this new data, those predictions have jumped up to between 3.2 and 3.4%. That's a big shift in a short time. And hey, if this upward trend keeps going, a COLA of 4% or maybe even higher isn't out of the question. But, and this is probably the most important thing we're going to talk about today, a bigger check doesn't automatically mean you're in a better spot financially. It's the classic catch-22, right? Let's say you get a 3.2% raise in your benefits. That sounds great. But what if the cost of your groceries, your gas, your utility bills, what if all that stuff goes up by 5%? Well, then you're actually losing ground. Your purchasing power, what your dollars can actually buy, is going down. You're running faster just to stay in the same place. Now, look, the point of all this isn't to scare anybody. It's not about panicking, it's about being aware. It's about preparing. So with this economic picture shifting under our feet, what can you actually do? What are some practical steps you can take? It really boils down to a pretty straightforward 3-step approach. First, just stay informed. Knowing what's going on is half the battle, right? It helps you see what's coming. Second, be really mindful of your spending. This is when having a good budget becomes your best friend. And third, plan ahead. Even taking small proactive steps can seriously reduce the financial stress down the road. It all adds up. So at the end of the day, what's the big takeaway here? It's simple. The pressure from inflation is building up. It's not easing off. For now, the trend is pointing up, not down, and that's something we all need to keep a very close eye on over the next few months.
And all of this leaves us with one big, crucial question as we head into that critical summer measurement window. As prices keep climbing, is that next COLA going to be a real safety net, or is it just going to be a desperate race to keep up?